Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, where everything you're about to hear and see has been done in one take. I'm your host, the One Take Man, and welcome once again to Daft Punk Month Free, where I look into the visual output of the titular French house duo. For today's video, however, I thought I would switch it up a little, and instead of looking at something that was made by them, I would look at something made about them. In this case, being, as the title has already given away, Daft Punk Unchained, a documentary about the two of them. Produced by BBC Worldwide France, it was first published, released, aired, streamed, whatever you want to call it, on June 24th, 2015, and was directed by Hervé Martin Delpierre, and who also co-scripted it alongside Marina Rosenman. I assume that's how those names are pronounced. I probably should have checked beforehand. Oh well, the damage is done. This documentary, notably, however, doesn't really feature any new footage of the titular duo. Instead, all of their appearances come from archival or old recordings, and they do feature in, and they also feature in voiceovers. Most of the new video material that has been, as far as I can tell, filmed specifically for this documentary stems from various interviews, and maybe even the occasional little bit of no, it is just interviews that have been taken with either former collaborators of Daft Punk or various industry insiders who who were witnesses to their client fame. So it's fair to say that there is plenty of content within this documentary, but how exactly is it put together? Well, the TLEW for this review is this documentary is for the most part quite competently made, and I think the best part of it is its use of archival footage, or footage I would call archival. I'm not sure it's really in any archive yet. Anyway, old footage of the band. That really showcases, that really allows for a sense of immersion and a sense of authenticity in terms of relating to the audience what exactly the environments within which they developed were like, and ultimately how those influences ended up spilling over in their work. I do have to specify that this documentary switches languages quite a bit between English and French, and also there is a spot of Japanese because reasons. So if you don't mind that, and or have the option to find something, to find a subtitle version, then it is quite likely that you will get and then I think you'll get a very strong impression of the creative development and the process that characterizes this duo. And now that I'm done with the general impressions, it's time I delved a little bit into some specifics. This documentary is constructed around showcasing various important events within Daft Punk's career, from their early days of their founding all the way up until the approximate present day of the documentary. As you might have been able to tell from the partial credits that I mentioned in the beginning of this video, this documentary doesn't really have a presenter or even a voiceover who would introduce the guests or really mention what it is about, and it makes them particularly relevant. Instead, all of that journey of discovery, pun intended, is done exclusively through the work of the directors, through the eyes of their camera, and through how they decide to integrate various archival recordings, and also play around with the with various graphics in order to establish the context of what it is that the audience is looking at. And also, as I mentioned, voiceovers exist, and they do also impact that. So yeah, there is a lot of context building that goes into play here, and I have to say, for the most part, that context building is very necessary because they are because they are covering a period that is perhaps not broad, but it is still very eclectic in terms of particularly when it comes to this band in particular, as it showcases them from their early experimental days to the to the times when they first have to interact with collaborators and get to work on their studio albums, to how their fame ends up impacting them, to then discussing the impact and influence they have over the musical industry as a whole, and then going into how their newfound respect, legitimacy, and reach ends up changing their creative output, and then going all the way through to their critical reception. And I have to say that and then when it comes to that, this documentary very much presents the 2014 Grammys, where they won every award they were nominated for, as their moment of triumph, which is an assessment I will not, not argue against, given how rare I imagine such an achievement is with the Grammys, and also I've heaped my own bunch of praise about upon Random Access Memories. And at some point in this channel's past, and I have to say, as far as the actual image as far as the actual information presented is concerned, I think the documentary is for the most part quite accurate, as in it showcases things that are, first of all, factual, and second of all do more or less accurately reflect that which they are, that which it is trying to convey. It does, it is quite effective at showcasing the events and the influences around the, around the career of this duo. That being said, it still delves a little bit into narrativization. Thereby expanding upon certain topics that I don't really think needed to be expanded, and then streamlining others that I think probably could have used with a little bit of could have served a little bit of expansion. And those are primarily also the aspects where I think the immersion is somewhat broken due to the due to how it affects the due to how it affects the pacing of this piece. So yeah, even though overall the crux of what is presented still still shines through, even though it could have been done better. The bigger issue that I have with the quality of this documentary, however, stems from the director's attempts at non-linear narrativization, which which I have to say, for the most part, fall flat. There is the point that he is trying to that this director is trying to bring across does still shine through, but because Hervé Martin Delpierre is no Christopher Nolan, the the aspect presented doesn't really have the same impact that it ought to have. So yeah, that is one thing I think could have potentially been improved by by removing that. There is one of the interviewees presents an anecdote about Thomas Bangalter, one of Daft Punk's members, finding a way to create feedback noise on command and then using that feedback noise as a baseline for a song. And I have to say that that little anecdote was quite a bit more interesting than Martin Delpierre's attempts at nonlinear narrativization. I would also have to mention the language switching, which I actually already did in the TLEW. However, that is more of an accessibility problem rather than a quality problem. And in fact, one could even argue that it actually enhances the documentary by making it more authentic, more genuine in that sense. still an aid towards accessibility would have really helped. Would have helped improve the quality of this documentary. It is generally quite high, but there are some small steps that could have made it. It could have made it quite a bit better. Overall, in spite of some less than elegant aspects of it, this documentary nevertheless manages to showcase with a lot of clarity and a lot of insight what it is about the career and the development of Daft Punk is all about, and thereby bringing a lot of very well-deserved attention and focus upon one of France's best musical exports. My final rating for Daft Punk Unchained is a 4 out of 5. And that was my review. Thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed it, well then please like the video, maybe even share it wherever you think other people will also like the video. If there is anything you'd like to add, either to the documentary itself or to my review of it, that's what the comment section is for. And if you want to see when my next video gets released, well then please subscribe. And ideally also ring the bell or do whatever else YouTube will ask of you in order to keep you notified. I also have a main channel where I talk about book-related and literature topics, a link to which you can find in the description down below, right past my social media links, which I also suggest you check out should you choose to. If that doesn't interest you, then I suggest you stick around on this channel and go for my extensive backlog of movie reviews, album reviews, commentaries of basically anything, gameplay videos. I really have something for everyone, so if you go through my backlog, you're likely to find something of interest to you. If you don't care about that either way, well then I suggest you go ahead and do whatever you want with the rest of your day because, it is your day after all. And that was all I had to say. Until next time, I have been the One Take Man.